Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video where we're going to run you through strategies that you can use to improve your comparative paragraph writing. In particular, we're going to be looking at Stasiland and Never Let Me Go. And we've written a sample paragraph which is going to show you some ways in which you can approach your own comparative writing and the manner in which you can be more succinct, more analytical, and more comparative in the way in which you go about it. So let's jump right in. And so the paragraph begins. Throughout both texts, one's past and their memory of it play a vital role in how they see themselves and their place in the world. Be it through their role as an officer within the Stasi or as a student of Hailsham, characters yearn to prove who they once were as a way of validating who they have become. As Hagen Koch takes Anna past obscure mementos of the regime and towards a box of documents, he speaks with a sense of longing as he guides her through the making of a patriot. The maps, articles and permits are proudly shown as a symbol of what Koch once was. Similarly, a donor who is on the verge of completing asks Kathy about her memories of Hailsham so as to blur a line between his own past and hers. The donor didn't want to be reminded of some place in Dorset, but rather aimed to not just hear about Hailsham, but remember Hailsham. Both authors illustrate how one can yearn to find a sense of solace or sanctuary in their memories in an effort to help them make sense of their present lives. And so that's where we're going to stop for a moment, just to take a look at one of the first features that I want you to take from this paragraph. And we've color-coded it in a way to show you the manner in which this not just compares, but the sentences that have led to it being comparative in nature. And you can see there that we've actually begun with talking about both of the texts together with that purple sentence talking about an officer in the Stasi or a student of Hailsham. This is a really nice sophisticated way to include characters or concepts from either of the texts in the one sentence so that we have that very comparative sentence, but also so we have that very blended way of looking at both of them together. It's not a blocked response that's basically like two text responses sort of jammed in together. It's looking at them in that more woven manner. Of course, we can't always talk about both texts in every single sentence, so the next sentence from that has some direct evidence from Stasiland, as depicted by the blue text in the paragraph that you can see. It then moves to that red coloured text, which is talking about Never Let Me Go. And so you can see here that actually this has turned that structure upside down. If you've watched any of the other videos that we've done on paragraph writing, we normally go through a couple of forms of evidence only to then get to comparison. This has turned that upside down a little bit, and there's nothing wrong with that, so long as it's always getting to that comparison and it's showing it in a really clear way. Take a look at that and how that works throughout the second part of the paragraph to see how the difference can be made between looking at one text on its own, then the other, but always coming back to that form of comparison. Throughout Stasiland, Funda questions which is healthier, to remember or forget. Her mention of nostalgia parties where citizens can pretend it all didn't happen is countered by her portrayal of Julia and the pain she experiences in confronting her repressed memories. Ultimately, Julia's moving to San Francisco and Miriam's transformation into white flowing clothing illustrate that characters can move on from their pasts if they are able to confront them. However, Ishiguro offers no sense of resolution for his characters, as Kathy spends her life looking for physical reminders of her past and reminiscing on her childhood in an effort not to lose her memories of Ruth and Tommy. And so this is where I want to bring up the second feature of this paragraph, and that is that you can see the evidence and the analysis of Stasiland there, but then when it starts to talk about the evidence and the analysis from Never Let Me Go, it's doing so in a way that is comparing Never Let Me Go to Stasiland. And so while we've talked about what Funda is questioning about whether it's healthy to forget or to remember, we then jump straight into comparison by saying Ishiguro offers no sense of resolution. And so we have that link between the two texts, and that link between not just what happens in the text, but rather the values of either of the authors and what they are looking to get across. And it's really, really important because one of the big separators that can happen when we're looking at student work in this area of study is that there are the students that just put in sentence after sentence of evidence about either of the texts, and it's just a list of evidence that relates to the essay question. And then there are the students that can talk about evidence from either text in a manner that it is being comparative throughout. And I really want you to see how that's happened here with this sentence that is based purely on Never Let Me Go, but it is comparing it to what has already been said in a similar concept to Stasiland. Though she admits that she shouldn't look back so much, Kathy can only hang on to memory as her future is predetermined. Thus, the text differ in their presentation of memories being a comfort, Funda stressing that one must move on from their past, and Ishiguro tragically outlining that those with little hope or future must cling to all that they once had. And so we have this way of summing up the paragraph in looking at the differences between the texts, and that's really key when it comes to being able to get to some really great comparison. If you look at this in an overall sense, this paragraph is essentially saying that these texts both have characters that are obsessed with memory and living in the past. However, the values of the author differ with what they say about this, and that's a way that we can sum up that paragraph. And so what I want you to walk away from this video from is that understanding that it's not just about listing evidence from either text and saying that all these things exist within either of them, but rather starting to nail down some of the differences and where those texts start to differ. So that's the paragraph done and dusted for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've got something out of it, and if you have, we'd really appreciate if you could click on the thumbs up and like our video and share it with anyone else that you know that's studying VCE English this year. If you have any questions, or if there's anything that's come up today that you'd like clarified, please put it down there in the comments. We'd really appreciate anyone commenting on the video because we're here to help you out with your VCE journey and to be as interactive as we can with students as a way to support them through more than just the videos that are there. We'll have some other videos coming up, not just about Stasiland and Never Let Me Go, but also about your Section A texts, and as well as some exam revision tips for Section C and some sample pieces that we've written there. In order to be notified about when those come up, you can subscribe to our channel, and that way you'll be able to be kept up to date with all of the things happening that can support you as you get yourself ready for that end of year exam. Until next time, all the best and good luck.